Welcome to this predicted paper from On Maths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our On Maths site. On Maths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! For us to create the largest number, we need to pick the biggest digits for the start of the number. So the biggest digit is 7, then 6, then 4, then 3. But the question says it wants the largest even number, so we need to just swap the last two around to make sure that it is even. So our answer is 7,634. For us to create the smallest number, we need to pick the smallest digits at the start of the number. So the smallest digit is 3, then the next smallest digit is 4, next smallest digit is 5, then the next smallest digit is 8. But it wants it to be an odd number, and this is an even number. So we have to move that 8 forward one and have that 5 at the end. So the smallest odd number is 3,485. Mode means most common or most frequent, and looking at this list of numbers, the number that comes up the most is this 7. All the other numbers just come up once, as 7 comes up twice. If I split this shape into two sets of 6 blocks, when we're asked to shade in 3/6, for each one of those, or each set of blocks, I'm going to shade in 3 of the 6. So that's 3 for the first set, and this is 3 for the second set. And that's our answer. Now you might notice that 3/6 is the same as a half, because we can divide on 1 by 3, and so all I need to do is shade in a half. Or you might convert 3/6 into 6/12, and there's 12 squares altogether, so it's 6 of the 12 squares. There's lots of ways of doing this question. If we put this in a place value grid, and so we've got thousands, hundreds, tens, and units, we've got 9, 0, 8, 8. So it's 9,000, because it's 9 lots of thousands, and 8 tens, so it would be 80, and we've got 8 units, so 8. Whenever we multiply two negatives, we always get a positive, so we know our answer will be positive. We're going to do 9 times 12, which is going to be 108, and v times v, which is going to be v squared. If you imagine these numbers written out as a list, there would be 5 lots of zeros, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'd be 9 lots of 1, so 1, 1, etc., etc. Okay, so when we're looking to see the total number of goals scored in the season, we could write them out as a list and then add them up, but a quicker way of doing that is just multiplying the amount of goals by the frequency. So we've got 5 lots of 0 goals, which will just be 0, 9 lots of 1 goal, so that's just 9, 4 lots of 2 goals, so that's 8, 6 lots of 3 goals, that's 18, and then 6 lots of 4 goals, that's 24. So all we need to do now is add up the 0, 9, 8, 18 and 24, which brings us to 59. So there were 59 goals scored. In this question we're given 13 lots of x and we're adding 7 lots of x to it. So if we have 13 lots of x and we're adding 7 lots of x, we're going to have 20 lots of x, or 20x. So we've got 10x plus 2x. Now 10x plus 2x are like terms, so we can just add them together to make 12x. And we've got that equal to 24. Let's put in our solve lines. Now that 12 before the x is a times 12. So to get rid of it, we do the opposite, which is divide both sides by 12. And so we've got x on the left-hand side and 24 divided by 12, which is 2. So our answer is x equals 2. To answer this question, we basically need to find the lowest common multiple of the 10 minutes here and the 15 minutes here. So we're going to start off just by doing the 10 and 15 times table. So it'd be 10, 20, 30. And 15 times table with 15 and 30. So the lowest common multiple is 30. So after half an hour, these buses will sync up. They'll both leave at the same time. And all buses start service at 9 o'clock. So it will be half an hour after 9 o'clock, which will be 9:30. So to draw this graph, what we're going to do is just pick 3 points for our x values. So we're going to start off with x equals minus 2 and feed that into the equation. So we've got y equals 0.5 times minus 2, take away 5. So half times 2 is just 1, and a positive times a negative is a negative. So it's going to be minus 1, take away 5, and minus 1, take away 5 is going to be minus 6. And then do our next one, which is x equals 0. And let's just finish that one off actually. We'll put it into the table, so minus 6, and we'll plot it. So minus 2 and minus 6 would be here. Okay, continuing on with x equals 0, so it's going to be y equals 0.5 times 0, which is just going to be 0, take away 5. So it's just 0, take away 5, which is just minus 5. So 0 minus 5 will be slightly higher, about there. And our last one will be x equals 2. So we've got y equals a half times 2, which will just equal 1, take away 5. So it would be 1, take away 5, which will be minus 4. So minus 4. And so that will be here. Now, don't just draw in the line that we've got. You've got to draw in the whole thing. And it will look something like that. So no gaps at all. You've got to do it for the whole graph. So I started at minus 4 on the left, ended at 4 on the right, and just lined my ruler up with the 3 points we've worked out. The first piece of information I'm going to focus on is the fact Denver gets 8/19. Denver gets 8/19. That means that Engel and Fido together must get 11/19 because they have to add up to 1. So we're only looking at 11/19. I'm going to focus on the ratio next of Engel to Fido. So it's 9 to 5. And let's have a look and see, well, first of all, how many parts there are all together. So 9 plus 5, which is 14 parts. So there are 14 parts in total, and the share that they get is 11/19. So what I'm going to do is to find out what fraction one of those parts is worth by dividing 11/19 by 14. So each part is worth, and I'm just going to keep this into my calculator, 0.041 blah blah blah. And we're asked to find Fido's share. Well, Fido has 5 parts. So Fido has 5 parts, each of them worth 0.041 blah blah blah. I've kept it in my calculator to keep the accuracy, and when I do that I get 0.206 blah blah blah. Now we're asked to work it out as a percent, so I'm just going to times that by 100. So we have 20.676 blah 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 percent, and it wants it rounded to the nearest percent, so that would be 20%. Or actually it would be 21%, because this would round it up, so 21%. You will need to use a paper and pencil to do this physically. You can't really do this on the computer. And make sure you have a ruler and a compass. So the first thing we're going to do is draw our 10 centimeter line. And we're going to get our compass and we're going to measure the 6 centimeters for the left hand side. So we're going to measure 6 centimeters on our compass, and we're going to just put a little arc there. Can do the same on the other side for 8 centimeters. So we're going to do our 8 centimeter arc from the right hand side, and we're going to put the point of the compass here. And it should be like that. And you can see where the two arcs overlap, which is here, and we can join these up with straight lines. And it says to measure the angle X, so we're going to need a protractor for this bit. I'm going to put our protractor here with the crosshairs matching here. So we're going to be looking at the inside, the outside one, and it comes up as 37 degrees. So our answer is 37 degrees. So with a stem leaf diagram, the numbers in the middle often represent tens. They could be units. So we look at the key first of all, and we see that 3 line 9 means 93. So the numbers in the middle are going to represent 10. So this is a 90. Now we're looking for English, so this will be 92. So our first number will be 92. Then this will be 10 tens and a 4, so it would be 104. 11 tens and 1, so 111, and then 11 tens and 2. So to find the median, we go cross out the biggest and smallest until we're left with 1 or 2 in the middle. Here we're left with 2. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add the 104 to the 111, and we're just going to divide that by 2. So when we do that, we get 107.5 or 0.5. So our answer is 107.5. We've got to first of all work out how many parts there are altogether in our ratio. So we've got 51 saying yes, 7 saying no, and 13 undecided. So altogether, we've got 51 plus 7 plus 13, which is 71 parts. Now each part is equal. So to find out the value of one part, we're going to do how many students there are, which is 2,911, and divide it by the 71 to find out what one part is worth. How many students are in one part? One part's worth 41 students. So each one of those parts in the ratio is 41 students. Now yes, because it goes yes, no, undecided, yes will be the 51 there. So it's 51 lots of 41 students. 51 parts with each part representing 41 students. And when you multiply those together, you get 2,091. So our answer is that 2,091 students responded with yes. The front elevation of a shape is the view you'll get if you were standing at the front. So if you imagine you're standing here, the only side you will see is this side here. And what will it look like? Well, it will look like a complete square or rectangle. And how high will it be? Well, it will be 6 centimeters high. And how wide will it be? Well, it will be 2 centimeters wide. So what we're going to do is we're going to just draw a rectangle that is 2 centimeters wide and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimeters tall. There we go. And make sure that you don't add any three-dimensional aspects to it, that you don't do something like this, have some 3D stuff on it. No. Whenever you do a front elevation, it's exactly perfectly two-dimensional. The modal class is just the group that has the mode. Okay? The modal group. Class just means group. Now, all these guys here are groups. So any of these could be the answer. To find the modal class or the modal group, we just look to see which one has the most numbers in it. Well, the first group has 16 in it, the next group has 11, the next group 17, the next group 11, and the next group, or the last group, 13. Which of those is the most? Well, 17. So the group that has the most is this 30. Let's do that a bit nicer. 30, and then C, and then 35. That essentially means 30 to 35, but make sure you copy it down correctly from the table, so exactly as it shows it in the table. So whenever we have a scatter graph, chances are we'll be drawing a line of best fit, and so that's what we'll start off with, draw a line of best fit in. And it says we're looking for a height of the box, or an estimate of the height of the box with the width of 17. So 17 is here. So the width of 17 will be a line across, let's try and get this just right, line across there. And what we do is we draw a line down when it hits the line of best fit. Now looking at the scale here, this seems to be going up in 2s. And so this line here would be at 3. It's quite difficult to see where to start with this question, but I do notice that we've got the f terms here, 44f, and an f term here, 16f. So there must be some way of linking the two, and actually there is. If you look, we've got, let's just use a different colour, we've got C angles here, or interior angle. We've got the two parallel lines on the left and the right hand side, and a line going connecting the two, and it kind of makes the C that you can see in purple. So that means that we know that angle CAB plus angle ABD are going to equal 180. So if we add them together, 16F plus 44F is going to equal 180 degrees. The reason for that is that they are interior. Now you could call that co-interior or allied angles or interior. All three of those will get the mark for the working out. So we're going to just put our tramlines in and solve this to find out what f is. So 16f plus 44f is going to be 60f, and 180, so we're going to divide by 60 both sides, and we get f equal to 3. Right, the other thing I notice is that we have a parallelogram, and something we know about a parallelogram is that the opposite angles are equal. Now you could also look at this angle and this angle also adding up to 180. They're also interior angles. Kind of doesn't matter with this question which approach you take, you'll get the same answer. So we know that y is going to equal 44 times f, and the reason being is that they are opposite in, let's start a new line here just so I've got room. They're opposite in a parallelogram, which is absolutely fine to state as a reason. That is a known mathematical thing. The opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal. So that's going to be 44 times 3, which is going to equal 132 degrees. So y is 132 degrees. So the question asks us to work out the bearing of the cinema from the train station. So from the train station means we're at the train station and we're looking at the bearing, which are always from north going clockwise, of the cinema. So it's this one here. To be able to do that, we need to remember a few bits about parallel lines. So we've got a parallel line here, and all lines pointing north are always parallel. And these angles make a kind of C with the parallel lines. We need to remember that they are interior, allied, or co-interior, depending on how you say it, but they are interior angles. And what we know about interior angles is that they add up to 180. So we're going to call this x, and we're going to say x equals 180, take away the 98 there. And so we just put on our calculator, or do it in our head, 180 take away 98, and you get the answer of 82. So we know that this angle here, instead of x, we know it's going to be 82. But the way we show bearings is with 3 digits. So it's going to be 082 degrees. This question seems a lot harder than it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by rewriting the prime factors, but without the squared. So 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. I'm going to do the same with the other lists as well. So 2 times 2 times 3 times 11. Now I'm going to put these into a Venn diagram, and so I'm just going to draw out a Venn diagram and get my two circles, because we're going to have the 450 and the 132. So 450 is on the left hand side and 132 is on the right hand side, and we're going to start just filling out the Venn diagram. So they both have a 2 in them and they both have a 3, but 450 has a 3, a 5 and a 5, and 132 has that 2 and the 11. Now to find the lowest common multiple, what you do is you just multiply all these numbers together, and that will give you the lowest common multiple. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 times 5 times 5, which are the numbers on the left, times 2 times 3, which are the numbers in the middle, times 2 times 11. And when we do that, we get 9,900, and that's it. So our answer is 9,900. So for this question, what we need to do is factorise 4t plus 6. Now factorise means put it into brackets. So if I try, what I can do is I can actually put a 1 on the outside here. So 1 times 4t plus 6 is 4t plus 6, but the question clearly states that it is higher than 1. So we need to find another number that's higher than 1 to factorise this with. So if we look at 4t and 6, well, they're both in the 2 times table. So I can put a 2 on the outside here. 2 times 2t is 4t, and 2 times 3 is 6. So what we can do is we can just check that out with smiles and rainbows. Put all my times down there to remind me to times it. So 2 times 2t is 4t, 2 times 3 is 6. So that works because that is the same as this in the question. So we know that 2 times 2t plus 3 works. In fact, it's the only one that works with it being an integer. So we therefore know that the known side, because it says it's a known number, is 2, and the other side will be 2t plus 3. And then when you multiply them together, you get the area of 4t plus 6. So our answer, because it says the length is the known number, so that's the length, then we're finding the width, which is this one here. So it's 2t plus 3. So this question says that Adrian, Ben and Charlie have some sweets, and the ratio of Adrian to Ben to Charlie is 9 to 6 to 13. But it also says that Charlie got 56 more sweets than Adrian. So there's 56 more sweets. Well, looking at the actual parts of the ratio, there are 4 more parts. So plus 4 parts, which represent plus 56 sweets. So the 4 extra parts are worth 56 sweets. So 4 parts are worth 56 sweets. So 1 part would be 56 divided by 4, which is 14 sweets. So all we need to do now is work out how many parts there are. Well, there are 9 plus 6 plus 13 parts, which is 28. And each part is worth 14 sweets. So the total number of sweets will be 28 times 14. So 28 times 14 is 392. So first thing to realise is that the formula for a volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So what we need to do first of all is work out the volume of the water butt that James currently has. So we're going to do the volume equals pi times the radius, which is 89 squared, times the height, which is 189. And when we do that, we get 149069 lots of pi. And I'll keep this in terms of pi just for simplicity. Now, what we want is we want the volume to stay the same. So we're going to keep that as the volume, 1497069 pi. But we want the radius to change. So instead of the radius being 89, we want the radius to be 103. So times 103 squared. And we're trying to work out what the height is. Okay, so first thing we can do actually is just cross off the pi's from both sides. Actually, we don't really need them at all. And then we can get our solving things in, our solving lines, and we can divide both sides by the 103 squared. And on the left hand side we get 141.113 blah blah blah, and on the right hand side we get h. So the height will be 141.113. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so that will be 141.11. So the symbol here basically means and the way I remember it is if you draw that symbol and just put a line through it, you can make the word and. So we're looking at the probability of getting something that is in A and C. So the only ones that are in A and C are this 8 and this 9 here. So we're going to just add the 8 and the 9 together, which give us 17. Now we need to then work out how many numbers there are in total, so that's all of them. So 4 plus 8 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus 3 plus 11 plus 6. So we need the total, which is 54. And then we get the 17, and we put that over the amount in total, so over 54. To find the smallest possible width, I'm just going to do a quick number line. And all I'm going to do is put 12.2 on our number line and figure out what the next number down will be. Well, if it's the nearest tenth, the next number down would be 12.1. That's the next number down it could have rounded to. And I'm just going to cut this number line in half and find out where our halfway point is. Well, the halfway point would be 12.15, and that's actually the minimum it could have been before it would have rounded to 12.1. So to find the area of a rectangle, we just multiply the width and the length. So that's what we're going to do here. But whenever you have an expression representing a length or a width or anything really, you just put brackets around it. So we go u minus 2 times u plus 9. Okay, and the way we do this is with our grid. And just going to draw out the grid. And so we've got u minus 2, and we're multiplying it by u plus 9. Don't want too many for some reason. And so we've got u times u, which is u squared, u times minus 2, which is minus 2u, 9 times u, which is 9u, and 9 times minus 2, which is minus 18. And what we're going to do is we're just normally going to be able to add these ones together. So our answer will be u squared, and then we're going to do 9u plus minus 2u. Well, that's just going to be 9u take away 2u, which is 7u. So plus 7u, and then minus 18 at the end. For this question, we need to first of all identify what information we have from the question. So it says the toy car is travelling at 13 meters per second at the start. So its initial velocity is 13 meters per second. It then accelerates, so we've got the acceleration, which is a, so 6 meters per second squared, for 15 seconds. So we've got the time, so t is 15, if I can do a proper 15, there we are, 15 seconds. And we're asked to find the final velocity, which is a v. So we need to find out which of the formula at the top, which of the 3 formulae, have v, t, a, and u. So it's not the bottom one because that has an s. It's not the middle one because that has an s.
it's going to be the top one. So I'm going to start just by writing the formula down. V equals U plus AT. The V I'm going to keep as a V because that's the one we're looking for. U is 13, A is 6, and T is 15. Type that into a calculator and you get 103. Now the units are going to be meters per second because all of the units, the U and the A and the T, are all in meters per second or meters per second squared. So it's going to be 103 meters per second.
So it's really important, first of all, we make clear about how we convert things. So if I've got a unit in kilometers and I want to convert it into meters, then we know we just times it by 1,000. So 2 kilometers is 2,000 meters. But if I have something in kilometers squared and I want to convert it into meters squared, I actually times it by 1,000 squared, which is 1,000 times 1,000. Okay, so I'm actually times it by not 1,000, but 1,000 squared. So that's another 3 zeros. You can see here that that's 1,000,000. So we times it by 1,000,000. So 13 kilometers squared is going to be the 13, and then it's going to be times by 1,000,000. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 13 million. Now, it says here the farmer must pay 1 pence tax for every metre squared. So this is going to be 13 million metres squared. And so that's going to cost him or her 13 million pence. But the answer is going to be in pounds. So we just need to get rid of 2 of the zeros at the end. So it's going to be 13, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to be £130,000. Initially this question looks a bit daunting, but there's a really nice formula that we can use to work out what the answer is. And that formula is that the exterior angle is 360 divided by the amount of sides. Because all the exterior angles will add up to 360. So we know there are 16 sides on this polygon. So we do 360 divided by 16, which is 22.5. So each angle would be 22.5 degrees. The formula for an exterior angle for a regular polygon is 360 divided by the amount of sides. Now here we're given the fact that the exterior angle is 30. And we're looking for n, so we just need to rearrange the equation. We can times both sides by n. And then divide both sides by 30. And so we've got n equals 360 divided by 30. And when you do 360 divided by 30, we get the answer of 12. So it's a 12-sided shape. We're going to start just by writing this out. So m equals 7 brackets x minus 10. And we're going to put our solving lines in. I'm going to start by expanding the brackets. And we don't need to. We could divide both sides by 7, but I think this is a bit easier. And we're going to subtract, or we're going to add 70 to both sides. So we're trying to get x as the subject. Try to get x on its own, and we're next going to divide both sides by 7. So we have m plus 70, all of that over 7 equals x. So x equals m plus 70 over 7. Factorising is the opposite of expanding. So instead of removing things from a bracket, we're actually putting them in a bracket. And so we're going to start off by just putting the bracket down. And we're going to think, well, what can we put on the outside? So we look at the 20x squared and the 35x. And we first of all think of the number. So we're looking for the biggest number that goes into 20 and 35. Essentially, its highest common factor. Well, that's going to be 5. And then we look at the letters. So we look at the most amount of letters we can divide out. Well, this only has an x here, so it's just going to be an x. Then what we're going to need to ask ourselves is 5x times what is 20x squared? Well, 5 times 4 is 20, and x times x is x squared. Then to get the second term in the bracket, we ask ourselves, what times 5 is 35? Well, that's going to be 7. And what times x is x? Well, we don't need an x on the end of that. 5x times 7 is 35x. And you can actually expand that, and you can use any method you want, but I'll use smiles and rainbows. And so we're going to do 5x times 4x, which is 20x squared, and 5x times 7, which is 35x. So our answer will be 5x brackets 4x plus 7. So our triangle says that speed equals distance over time, and average speed is the total distance over the total time. So when we're looking for average speed, we want to work out, so we're just going to write average speed or speed, and it's going to be the total distance. So the distance starts at 0, goes up to 30. So the total distance is 30, and the time starts at 10:15 and ends at 11. So that'll be 45 minutes, or, well, we should do it in hours, because the units we want in hours. So it would be 0.75. So 30 divided by 3/4 would be 40. So it's going to be 40 kilometers per hour. So the first thing I notice is the second equation isn't really in the normal format for doing simultaneous equations. So I'm just going to rearrange it so that we have it where we want it to be. And I'm just going to put my lines in so I can rearrange. So first thing I want is I want the x's and y's on the same side. In fact, actually all I need to do is take away 4y from both sides, and we get 5x minus 4y equals minus 7. Okay, so what we do now is we put both our equations down so we can solve these simultaneously. So 5x minus 4y equals minus 7. And you notice the coefficient of the y is already the same, so we don't need to multiply anything. But the signs are different, and the d in different is the d in add. So we're going to add going downwards. So we're going to add everything. So we're doing 3x plus 5x, which is 8x. 4y plus minus 4y is nothing, which is good, because we want to get rid of that. And 47 take away 7 is 40. Alright, let's put our solving lines in. And we're going to divide by 8 both sides. So we get x equals 5. And we're going to substitute that value into one of the equations. I'm going to pick this top one. So instead of 3x, we're doing 3 times 5 plus 4y equals 47. Get my solving lines in. So that will be 15 plus 4y equals 47. And then we're going to take away the 15 both sides. And so it's 4y equals 47 take away 15, which is 32. Divide by 4 both sides, and we get y equals 8. Now we can check that using this equation here. So 5 times 5 is 25. Take away 4 times 8, which is 32, is minus 7. So we know we've got it right. First thing we need to do is work out the volume of this prism. And it's a trapezium-based prism. So the volume will be the area of the cross-section, or area of the trapezium, times the length, how 3D the prism is. So trapezium is half a plus b h, and then times the length. Now a and b are the two parallel sides, which will be this one and this one.
and then the h is the perpendicular line that hits both of them at 90 degrees, which is what perpendicular means, between the bases. So this will be the 25 meters here. So it's going to be half, and then we're going to add 1 and 5, times that by 25. The length is how 3D it is, so it would be that 10 there. So we're going to times that by 10, and that will give us 750. So it's 750 meters cubed. Now, there is a little formula we can make for the rate. So the rate of anything for this will be the volume gained over time. Now, with this question though, we're interested in the time it will take. It says how long will it take. So we're actually looking at the time. So it will be time equals the volume, which is 750, over the rate, which is 15. So 750 divided by 15 is 50. So it will take 50, and let's have a look. It says per minute. So it would be 50 minutes. So the angle of elevation is when you are looking horizontally, like here. It's the angle that you have to look up to see something, so that castle. So this is the angle of elevation here, which I'm just going to call x. And we've got a right angle triangle here where we have two lengths and we're looking for an angle, so we're going to be using trigonometry. So we're just going to label this up. So we've got the opposite here, adjacent to here. We don't need the hypotenuse at all, so get rid of that. Let's just put our SOHCAHTOA in. So we've crossed out the hypotenuse, so it won't be sine or cos, it will be tan. So it will be tan x is equal to the opposite, which is 49 over 98. Get our lines in. And we're going to do the inverse tan of both sides. And so the inverse tan of 49 over 98 is 26.565, etc. And it says it wanted the nearest whole number, so that will be 27 degrees. We're going to start by focusing on the A and B, which is 8 and 16. So in the middle is going to be 8 and 16. The next thing we're going to focus on is the fact that A is all the multiples of 4. Now 8 and 16 have both already been taken because they're in the middle. So the remaining multiples of 4 are the 4 there and the 12 there. So the next ones I'm going to focus on is the A or B. So A or B is in A, in B, or in the middle. So if we cross out the ones we've already used, so we've already used the 8 and 16 and the 4 and the 12, that leaves the 1 and the 9. We'll cross that out of our other list. And there's only 2 left in our everything list at the top. We've got the 3 and we've got the 11. So on the outside we have 3 and we have 11. When something is squared, you times it by itself. So another way of writing this is 6x to the power of 7 times 6x to the power of 7. The 6's can go together and the x to the power of 7's can go together. And 6 times 6 is 36. And x to the power of 7 times x to the power of 7. When you times powers, you add them. So 7 plus 7 is 14. Something else you could have done is just squared the 6 to make 36. And one of the rules is if you have a power on the inside of a bracket and a power on the outside of the bracket, you multiply them. So 7 times 2 is 14. So we need to first of all work out what the length of the side of the square is. And to do that, what we do is we get the 44v to the power of 4, w to the power of 5, and we just divide it by 4. And to do that, all we need to do is just divide the coefficient by 4. So it'd be 11v to the power of 4, w to the power of 5. Some people will try and do something with the v to the power of 4, w to the power of 5, but if you think about it, if
I just draw out my square. If it's 11v to the power 4, w to the power 5 all the way around, when you add, you don't add the v to the power 4, w to the power 5. It's just going to be 11 lots, another 11 lot, another lot of 11, and another lot of 11. So it's 44 v to the power 4, w to the power 5 in total. And to work out what the area is, we obviously are going to square that. So we're going to do 11 v to the power 4, w to the power 5, and we're going to just times it by itself, which is what squaring means. Okay, so we're going to times the 11s together, so that's going to be 121. Going to times the v to the power 4s together, and remember with indices, if you times two powers of the same base, and they're both v, then we just add the powers together, so that'd be 8. And we're going to add the w to the power 5s together, so that makes 10. So it's 121 v to the power of 8, w to the power of 10. The volume for a pyramid is 1/3 times the length times the width times the height for a square or rectangle based pyramid. And so we've got 1/3 times the 20 times the 20 times the 11, and that gives us 1466.666 recurring. And so to two decimal places, that is 1466.67 centimeters cubed. So this question is a simultaneous equations question. And so we're going to have to write down some equations. So it says 2 apples and 3 pears cost £3.80. So 2 apples, I'm going to call it A for the price of an apple, plus 3 pears, so 3p, cost £3.80. Now I'm going to do this as 380 just because it's easier to work with integers rather than decimals. And it says 3 apples, so 3a, plus 8 pears costs £7.80, or 780 pence. Okay, so the first thing I do is try and get these numbers the same. So 3 and 8, they both go into 24, so I need to make them both 24. And what some people do is they just label this A and this B. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to multiply everything in equation A by 8, so that this becomes 24. So it's going to become 8a. And so we're going to times the 2a by 8, which will be 16a plus 24p, and 380 times 8 is 3040. And we're going to do the same with b, but this time we're going to times it by 3, so we're going to have 3b. And we're just going through everything here and we're timesing it by 3. So 9a plus 24p, which is good, that's what we wanted. And 780 times 3 is 2340. So now we've got both of these the same coefficient. What we can do is we can eliminate going downwards. Now, if they are the same, the s in same is the s in subtract. If they were different signs, so if these weren't both positive, if one of them was negative, different, the d in different is the d in add. So here they are the same, so we are going to subtract, and we're going to subtract going downwards. So we're going to start off by doing, and I can just do a little line here to show what we're doing. So we're subtracting going downwards, and we're going to do 16a take away 9a, which will be 7a. 24p take away 24p, which is nothing, which is why we did that, is to eliminate them. And then 3040 take away 2340 will be 700. Then I can put my lines in, and all I need to do now is just divide both sides by 7, and I get a equals 100. So we know that apples cost 100, or £1. We need to work out what pears cost. So I just need to pick one of the equations. I'm just going to pick this top one here, and I'm going to write it out. But instead of a, we know that a is £1 or 100 pence. So plus 3p equals 380. So that's going to be 200 plus 3p is 380. And then again, I'm just going to draw my lines down. and we're going to subtract 200 from both sides. So it's going to be 3p equals 180. And then we're going to just divide by 3 both sides. And we've got p equals 60. So a pair costs 60. Now we can check this by using the other equation there. So 3 times 100 is 300, plus 8 lots of 60 is going to be, what's that, 480? So it's going to be 780. So we know that we've got it right. So we notice with these simultaneous equations that the coefficients of the x's are different and the coefficients of the y's are different. But if you look at the coefficients of the y's, they are similar. If we multiply the 4 there by 3, we will get to the 12 there, and we ignore signs. I know it's a minus 12. So what we want to do is multiply everything in that equation by 3. So it's going to be 2x plus 4y equals 20. And we're just going to put our lines in, because what we want to do is multiply everything here by 3. And so we get 6x plus the 12y equals 60. And I'm just going to write that out again, so we can put in our simultaneous equation circles. And I'm just going to write the second equation again underneath, because simultaneous equations are all about working downwards. So I'm just going to show that with these circles here. Now for the coefficients that are the same, which is y, we're going to look at the signs. Are the signs the same or different? Well, if they're the same, we're going to subtract. If they are different, we're going to add. So d in different is the d in add, the s in same is the s in subtract. Well, they are different, one's a plus, one's a minus, so we are going to add. And we're going to find the sum of these. So 6x plus 3x is 9x. 12y plus minus, which is just a minus, so it's 12y minus 12y is 0, which was the whole point of adding, to get rid of those y's. And then 60 plus minus, which just means minus 42, which is going to be 18. Then we just go quickly solve that by dividing both sides by 9. And we get x equal to 3, or 2 even. So x is equal to 2. Now we need to find out what y is. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy out the first equation, but I'm going to substitute in the value of x, which is 2. So we've got 2 times 2 plus 4y equals 20. Again, put my solving lines in, because the first thing I'm going to do is take away the 2 times 2, or take away the 4 from both sides. So we've got 4y equals 16, and then we're just going to divide by 4 both sides. So we get y equals 4. And we can check that with the second equation by substituting in the values of x and y. So 3 times 2 minus 12 times 4 is equal to minus 42. So we've got to first of all realise that these triangles are similar, so we can work up the scale factors. We need 2 corresponding sides, which I'm just going to pick these top ones, and we're going to work out the scale factor from those. Now the scale factor is how to get from the smaller to the bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 91 divided by 13, which is 7. So we know we times 7 to get from the small to the big. Now here we've got a problem, because we're actually going from the big to the small. And when we go the opposite way around, so instead of times 7, we're going to divide by 7. So on our calculator we do 126 divided by 7, and we get the answer 18. Okay, I'm just going to do a quick grid to be able to do this question. And I'm going to put the 2x minus 11 at the top, so 2x, and we've got minus 11. And we're going to do the 3x minus 4 down the side, so 3x minus 4. And it's a multiplication grid, because the 2 brackets are together, so 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times minus 11, well that's going to be a minus, and 3 times 11 is 33 with an x. Minus 4 times 2 would be minus 8x, because it's 2x. And 2 minuses make a positive, and that'd be positive 44, and we can put plus there. Because when we put them all together, we get 6x squared minus 33x minus 8x plus 44. Now you can see that these two here, the minus 33x and the minus 8x, are like terms, so we're just going to add them together, and we get 6x squared minus 41x plus 44, and so our answer is 6x squared minus 41x plus 44. So the first term will be 50 to the power of 1. Anything to the power of 1 is just itself, so that will just be 50. The next one will be 50 squared, so that's going to be 50 times 50, which would be 5 times 5 times 10 times 10, 25 times 100, which would be 250, 2,500 even. And then last one is 50 cubed, so that's going to be the 2,500 times 50 again. And so when you times that out, you get 125,000. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our OnMaths site. OnMaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.